Have you ever stopped to wonder, what does the world really value? I'm not talking about theories, I mean in cold, hard numbers. Well, we're about to crack open the world's wealth ledger, and trust me, it tells a fascinating story about global power, our priorities, and, where we're all headed. So, let's dive right in.
All right, let's kick things off with a simple question. If you had to take a guess, what's the single most valuable asset class on planet Earth? Just think about it for a sec. Is it gold? Maybe a tech giant like Apple? Or, I don't know, all the money floating around out there?
The answer, it's a number so huge it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around it. $672 trillion. To put that in perspective for you, that's more than 6 times the entire global GDP. So what on earth could possibly be worth that much?
That colossal number belongs to real estate. Yeah, every home, every office tower, every single farm, every plot of land. It's the literal foundation of our societies and our economies. And as this ledger makes crystal clear, it is, by an absolutely massive margin, the most valuable thing in the world.
Okay, so let's begin with this physical foundation. I mean, for most of human history, wealth was something you could actually see and touch, right? Land, resources, precious metals. To really understand the modern economy, you first have to understand this bedrock that everything else is built on.
Now, the sheer scale here is what's truly interesting. Just look at that bar for real estate. It completely dwarfs everything else. But you can't ignore the other physical titans in the room. You've got oil with a total market valuation of $118 trillion. That's the lifeblood of our industrial world. And then there's gold, the historical safe haven, still representing a massive $33 trillion in global value.
And it's not just about those big three. Think of these as the essential ingredients for modern life. You got copper, the wiring in our walls and our electronics. Natural gas, that's heating our homes and powering our factories. Even silver, which is crucial for everything from solar panels to medicine. These physical assets are the absolute pillars of industry.
All right, next up, let's shift gears from what we dig out of the ground to what we print. We're talking about currencies. Now, money itself is a massive asset class, of course. But as we're about to see, it's so much more than just paper. It's a direct representation of a nation's economic power and its trust on a global scale. This chart right here brilliantly illustrates the current economic balance of power. The Chinese yuan is sitting right at the top with a total value of nearly $49 trillion. That's more than the US dollar and the euro combined. This valuation really reflects China's huge money supply and its economic output, giving us a really clear snapshot of global influence. So the crucial point here is this. When you look at these numbers, you're not just seeing money. You're seeing a report card for national economies. A high valuation reflects industrial output, trade balances, stability, and the world's collective faith in that country's future. All right, now get ready for a major pivot. We've talked about land, resources, and national currencies, but in the 21st century, a new kind of power has emerged, one that's based not on physical assets, but on data, algorithms, and intellectual property. This is the rise of the intangible empire. If there is one slide that shows you just how much the world has changed, this is it. On one side of the scale, you have the entire supply of silver ever mined in human history. On the other, you have a single company founded in 1993 that just designs microchips. And their valuations? Nearly identical. An entire physical commodity versus pure intellectual power. It's just staggering. And NVIDIA isn't an outlier. Welcome to the $1 trillion club. And let's be clear, this isn't just a list of companies. This is a roster of the new global powers. Together, these tech titans represent over $23 trillion in value. And why? Because they are building the very infrastructure of our digital future. And this disruption isn't just happening in tech. Take a look at finance. Here we have Bitcoin, an asset that literally didn't even exist 15 years ago, and it's now worth nearly double one of the world's oldest and most powerful banks, JP Chase. I mean, this is just a clear as day signal of new technology challenging the very foundations of the financial establishment. So after looking at all these numbers, from land to currencies to computer code, what does this wealth ledger actually tell us? Let's synthesize the big picture lessons right here. If you take away anything from this explainer, it should be these 3 trends. First, the undeniable shift in value from tangible, physical assets to intangible, digital ones.
Second, the incredible power now wielded by just a handful of corporations, whose valuations literally rival those of entire nations. And third, how this all points to a really high concentration of economic influence in very specific sectors and companies.
Ultimately, this ledger is so much more than a ranking. Think of it like a map. It shows you the territories of power, it reveals our global priorities, and it offers pretty clear clues about the direction we are all heading. For anyone trying to navigate the future, understanding this map is absolutely crucial.
And that leads us to the final thought. This is the world as it is today, but the landscape of wealth is always changing. So, what do you think? What new technology, what resource, what revolutionary idea is going to climb this ladder and define the wealth of tomorrow? The next chapter? Well, that's still unwritten.